Presented by CBS All Access. Hello, welcome to News, Games, and More, IGN's daily live news show. I'm Damon Hatfield. I will be your guide for today. What is today? Monday, September 21st. Today I am joined by Sydney Goodman.
Hi.
Jonathan Dornbush.
I had the date for you right on my shirt.
Oh, man.
Wait, why are you wearing...
Yeah, why are you wearing that?
Because that's today, the date, September 21st.
How many
You
guys
guys not know the video? It's a long story if you want me to go through it.
Well, let me introduce Destin Legary first.
Hello, everybody. I want to know about the shirt.
Not bad.
Okay, Jonathan, tell us about the shirt.
Okay, so a comedian named Demi Adejuyigbe, who used to write on The Good Place. He's written on a few shows. He goes by Electro Lemon on Twitter and social media and whatever. For years, he has done a lot of really funny comedy by like weirdly twisting music in strange ways. Like he got really famous for putting Take Me to Church into a bunch of different other songs and like very weird remixes. But so anyway, like 5 years ago, I want to say it's been, he made a video of him dancing to a weird remix he did of September by Earth, Wind and Fire, where he dances to the song, but it's this weird, strange remix. And he's wearing a shirt that says September 21st like this, because that's the song reference. And then in the video, he turns around and it just says that's today. And that was the whole joke. And it was weird. And then each year he successively got like more elaborate with the videos, and he does one every year. And so he put out another one today, and each of them now is like fundraising for charities and everything. And so he like helps he raised over $50,000 today already from it. So it's just like a funny yearly thing that he now does that I've become obsessed with.
And does he sell these shirts, or did you make this shirt?
I made this shirt.
Okay.
But he did sell the shirts. Yes, by hand. It took me months to stitch. No, just made it on one of those like red bubbles. But yeah, he made them last year, but didn't do it this year. But I think he still has some available as like a second run.
Wow. I really like your commitment to being
I
a
love
fan.
I made one, and then Josh Dew made one, and then Emily on our social team also made one, and then Cassidy, who used to work for us. We all wore them. I think it was 2 years ago. I want to say we all
on
got
September
the same shirt
21st.
On September 21st. Yeah.
That was very specific but interesting story. Let's move on to the news of the day. Did anything happen today? Anything interesting happen in the world of video games today? Heard something about an acquisition, but that sounds like sort of boring business talk.
Business.
Acquisition.
I kid. Of course, you all have heard by now. Microsoft is going to purchase Bethesda, $7.5 billion, twice as much as it paid for Minecraft back in 2014. That means Xbox is now the proud owner of popular video game franchises like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Doom, Quake, Dishonored, if Dishonored ever comes back, and then of course Starfield, which is their big next-gen RPG that they teased a couple years ago at E3. This is such crazy news that we woke up to. I couldn't even believe it. This is like genuinely game-changing news for the industry. Jonathan, you're our PlayStation guy. Let's start with you. What was your reaction to this news? Are you worried about being able to play these games on PlayStation?
I mean, yeah, my first reaction was sort of the same as you, Damon. Like I woke up this morning, I was like, you know what? It's all the next gen cards are on the table. We're ready to go. We know what we already had the pre-order debacle last week with Sony. We're going to pre-order Xboxes this week. It's all smooth sailing from here. And then this was just like, oh, this changes a lot. It like with sort of what you were saying, I think there are so many ramifications that we can only like begin to kind of get a grasp of how this will change things. But yeah, this is the biggest acquisition I can think of. Like this trumps any of the companies that Microsoft had acquired studio-wise earlier in this gen, acquired any of Sony's recent acquisitions when it comes to like Insomniac and everything. This is just on a level that we really haven't seen, and it is going to really change things up. I don't think it'll, it doesn't change the next 2 months of when the consoles launch. It's not like suddenly Microsoft has 6 new games that come out with the launch of the Xbox Series X. The next 6 months to a year pretty much will probably look the same, but this is really going to have ramifications down the line. And I think like what the effects that will happen because of this deal, we're going to feel at the midpoint of this generation, especially toward the end of it. It's really going to change a lot.
Sydney, what did you think when you heard this news?
So I do this annoying thing where I like run through Twitter for like 5 minutes in the morning and then I get off of it. And so I saw it and I was like, oh wow, that's nuts. Wow. And then I like retweeted or something. I was like, congrats to everyone involved, and just kept thinking about if anyone had points in the company and how much other like all the executives made. And then like maybe an hour later, I was like, oh my God. Microsoft owns Bethesda. Like, what does this mean? And I think the idea of just like, what does this mean in like a very tangible, can I play the games that I still love and the franchises that I love? That is why something like an acquisition, which sounds so boring, is very relevant now to all of us. But I have to say, like, at what point, like, is there a point where Microsoft can't buy other studios, like, and they have too much market share? Like, will we see that becoming an issue? Because this just feels like such a huge acquisition.
Yeah.
We actually, Matt Kim from our news team just put up a story about how this doesn't violate sort of antitrust laws, because this isn't the same as like the Disney Fox deal where they were essentially direct competitors. Like, even though yes, Microsoft and Bethesda both publish games, like Microsoft is looked at as a distributor because they're being bought by Microsoft, not by like Xbox within the company. So because it's being bought by Microsoft proper, this is looked at as more of vertical integration rather than horizontal, since they're not direct competitors. So technically this doesn't really like violate any issues. Yeah, it does bring a lot more into Xbox's fold, but it's such an outlier case and it's not like Bethesda was also, gonna distribute a console next month.
Gotcha. So my question, I don't know, you're not a lawyer, no offense, Dorno, or anything, but I'm saying because I don't expect you to have the answer to this question, but I'm just curious. Based on what you said, so theoretically Microsoft could acquire Activision and that would not be an issue.
On its own, probably not an issue. What the lawyer that Matt spoke to basically said, like, you can maybe make the argument that it becomes an issue if they acquired too much. If Sony suddenly acquired Ubisoft, Bethesda, Activision, EA, WB, like if they acquired everything, then we can maybe talk about like some monopoly issues at work.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like this on its own doesn't necessarily violate any United States business laws in any real way. So there's not going to be any like probably major holdups when it comes to like court approvals of this merger.
I think a lot of people would take "you're not a lawyer" as a compliment. But we need to hear from Destin. Destin, you're frequently on an Xbox podcast. Was this, when you saw this news, was this a BAM for you?
Definitely a BAM. There's a lot of interesting things here. So they told Bloomberg that future Bethesda games will be on Xbox, PC, and other consoles on a case-by-case basis. That could mean that they are going to be, keeping them certain games like Xbox, like the next Elder Scrolls, for all we know, could be an Xbox exclusive if they want to play that card. But when you tie it in with the value of Game Pass, it's $9.99 a month. Yes, you get that first month or whatever for $1, but that accounts for, like, if you do the math, they have 15 million Game Pass users right now, this huge fan base. That is $1.8 billion a year just from Game Pass. So that doesn't account for game sales, console sales, or any of the other things. This is a huge win, no matter how you spin it. Even if they go cross-platform with these Bethesda titles, which would make them even more money because you're getting charged $70 for the game on, or $60 or $70 for the game on PlayStation 5, for example. Getting it on Game Pass for free, plus you have the direct sales. It's just, they're being incredibly smart with this acquisition, and I think they're going to recoup the $7 billion quite quickly if they continue on this strategy with Game Pass, and it's just smart. No matter how you cut it, no matter what they decide to do, they win in the end. They could also sort of strong arm Sony and be like, hey, let's start playing nicer together nowadays. Let's do, like, why are you keeping Spider-Man for Avengers? You sure that's how you want to play this? All right, we'll keep Elder Scrolls for a year, but even if it's just so crazy, Xbox just wins this, period.
Well, I mean, wins what though? I mean, like, because none of these games
profit money.
Yes, but these games aren't. They don't have anything like coming up imminently, right? Bethesda's next game, Deathloop, is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive.
Mhm.
But it's crazy to think that now a good chunk of all those sales, it just gets funneled into Microsoft, right?
Yeah, sure,
So
sure. It's a PS5 exclusive. Microsoft gets all the money.
So I think that's such an interesting point that you bring up, Dustin, because I feel like, and maybe this is just purely how I'm looking at it, but at least my Twitter timeline and a lot of the replies are very, the sentiment this generation obviously skews towards Sony. Like they did a great job
Yeah.
with PlayStation
Mhm.
4. They have great exclusives, da 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 da. Everybody loves them, fantastic, whatever. And I feel like even seeing the sentiment towards this Bethesda thing is like, oh my gosh, like Microsoft, can't believe you did that. Like, like it's like this, like still coming from a place of like very Sony. And it's
Mhm.
interesting to remember that it's like, well, at the end of the day, like these are companies. They're not like people trying to get the popularity vote necessarily to a certain extent. And that like Microsoft really is winning with things like Game Pass, even prior to this acquisition and this acquisition, whether or not people want to be upset about the prospect of Microsoft like taking away and making like beloved IPs exclusive to Xbox. Who knows? I'm sure we'll talk about that more in a second. But at the end of the day, they're cashing out and they're like making a ton of money.
Yeah, and the
So-
point I'm making is they don't have to go console exclusive. They can stay cross, like if the games stay cross-platform, Xbox still wins. No matter what they do, they win. So it's
As a
just really smart
From like a business
as a
standpoint.
business. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they win if they can convince people to buy Xboxes and subscribe to Game Pass, right? But if
But
you know,
software is where the profit is, not the hardware, right?
right?
I think
This
Dustin's
is-
point, if I'm understanding correctly, is that
They're taking a
even if-
loss on the consoles.
is that even if Microsoft decides to make all these Bethesda games cross-platform, they don't make any of them exclusive to Xbox. So they aren't moving hardware in that situation, but that games like Elder Scrolls is selling like tens of millions of copies, and Microsoft is taking a cut of that. That either way, they kind of win.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
money.
sense.
Sorry, I don't like doing the win-loss because it feels like it like contributes to this toxic culture of like
Sure.
Microsoft versus Sony, but wins in a
Sure.
business perspective.
Yeah, and like I don't want to contribute to that, but Microsoft is also running a business. They're going to do what is most profitable for them, and who knows, maybe having a larger install base on the Xbox brand, to Damon's point of the consoles, is going to net them more revenue in the end. What I hope this does is it sort of makes Sony and Xbox play a little nicer together. Like maybe we start seeing crossplay. Maybe we start seeing fewer Spider-Man. Like a lot of people were upset about the Spider-Man being an Avengers thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's timed as opposed to, just a forever thing. I don't know what they're going to do. Microsoft has largely played nice with everybody in this industry, including like Nintendo. They have tons of deals with Nintendo. So maybe this will just make Sony, go hand in hand with Xbox, and we have a better gaming world for everybody involved.
So, Jonathan, Destin's imagining a scenario where Xbox doesn't lock these behind Xbox and PC exclusives, but future Bethesda games. Do you think you'll still be able to play them on your PlayStation 5?
I do think it's definitely like too early to tell. In all honesty, I think it's really going to depend on how the next few years go. But I would be shocked if the biggest franchises become Xbox only. I think maybe we could see like a limited exclusivity on Xbox and PC before they hit PlayStation. But like, it's just sort of unfathomable to me that. Hold on one second, my dog's barking.
No, this is important information.
He's very excited. No, I think it would be sort of. I just can't imagine the Elder Scrolls not coming to PlayStation because it is leaving money on the table. Like the Elder Scrolls and Fallout are such big platform or big franchises that are popular no matter what platform they're on. Really, like I don't really think many people associate those as Xbox brands. Obviously Elder Scrolls I think maybe a little more with Xbox, but even still, I think on the whole people just play them where they play them. Especially given that Skyrim you can play on your Alexa. So I do think people. Like as Destin was saying, people will want to still play those games a lot on PlayStation, and it only benefits Microsoft if Sony allows them to sell their games on PlayStation to sell those on PS5. So I would be shocked if those don't eventually come to PlayStation.
Yeah. Destin was mentioning over 50 million Game Pass subscribers for Xbox, but I think Skyrim on its own has sold something like 30 million copies. So yeah, it's like they could. if 15 million is like the amount of people they can get playing day one on Xbox, but they could also get, possibly tens more millions if they put it on PlayStation platform, it makes it a little bit hard to believe that they would want to hold that as an exclusive. There's also the matter of like, or no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think. Go ahead,
first,
Dustin. God, no, you first.
Okay, Spider-Man sold in 2019. It was revealed that Spider-Man sold like 13 million copies. That's a console exclusive, right? That's about $779 million. I don't know how much of that has to go toward the development of the game, but obviously that's a profit margin, right? So if they did go console exclusive, they're looking at, I don't know, $1 billion a title that they do that for. But then you're also, for a game like Elder Scrolls, I could imagine that selling 13 million copies on PlayStation 5. So you are also losing $1 billion by not going cross-platform. Todd Howard, on this note, during his part of the reveal, he said, like our original partnership, this one is about more than one system or one screen. We share a deep belief in the fundamental power of games and their ability to connect, empower, and bring joy. And a belief we should bring that to everyone, regardless of who you are, where you live, or what you play on, regardless of the screen size, the controller, or your ability to even use one. So to me, that's like a symbiotic relationship where they're saying, Sony users, PlayStation users, Xbox users, if you're playing on your phone or whatever, they don't care. They just want to make great games for everybody. Mm-hmm. But then on the Xbox side, it does sound like they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have exclusive windows for these games.
There will 100% be some exclusives because of this, whether they're more the like prestige sort of exclusives that we'll get down the line, like maybe Dishonored like games will only be Xbox only if they don't want to take the risk on a multi-platform release. But yeah, I totally expect we're going to see like a true case-by-case basis. I do think things will come to Switch 2, whatever that is in years to come, to phones, to PS5. I do think there will be games multi-platform. I do think there will be exclusives, but to Dustin's earlier point sort of about maybe this causing Sony to play a little nicer, I sadly, maybe it's a little cynically, think it's only going to go in the reverse. And I think we're only going to see Sony double down on trying to get more exclusives on their end because that's how they've been playing for the last few years. And I think they're only going to see this and then work harder to get more exclusives.
Sydney, sure. I apologize. We sort of stumbled over each other. What were you trying to say?
I forgot. I appreciate the apology though, but I'm sure it was along the lines of what you guys were all saying. But if I remember, I'll just raise my hand or something.
Well, Sydney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're more of an Xbox gamer, right? So like, is this news exciting to you?
I am. So, okay, I was just talking about not like contributing to toxic fan base. And this context might bring more light to what I was saying earlier in terms of no matter how you play this, whether or not Microsoft makes a bunch of huge IPs exclusives, and then, all of us Xbox fans, we finally have this like giant exclusive library and it's amazing. That's not just Halo and Gears and Forza. Mm-hmm. And, but it's because part of me deep down inside of me kind of wishes that they made it all exclusive so that I could just like laugh in the faces of my friends who have been like laughing at me for still being like Xbox loyal this generation. But I understand that that's not helpful for anybody. And so I don't actually want that to happen. But we were kind of talking about in terms of like, okay, so we've got a lot of ambiguous messaging. What is the likelihood that they are keeping this very ambiguous also because tomorrow pre-orders go on sale. And so while, they could come out and say, oh, don't worry, you'll be able to play like the next Elder Scrolls on PS5. Oh, don't worry, like it truly will be case by case and kind of give us a little bit more concrete wording. I think it's to their benefit that right now, I'm sure people are like, oh my gosh, now I need to pre-order tomorrow. Because I wasn't super motivated to pre-order tomorrow, and even though this doesn't affect anything and there won't be games all of a sudden I'm on this Microsoft hype train where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to open all the browsers and like refresh to make sure just in case they go live early. Like it worked on me. So
yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, there's no reason in today's report, especially with this coming before pre-orders, that's exactly it. Like there's no reason to mention PlayStation or Nintendo. Like there's no benefit to the deal for them to say, don't worry about that today. Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah. It's probably worked on a lot of people.
Well, so
I'm very excited for this. I am anxious about this pre-order. That's how I should put it. I'm not excited. I hate this kind of stuff, but I need one now.
So Xbox pre-orders go live tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, our time. Sydney, you're going to try to get one?
I am, yes.
And then Destin, how about you?
Nah.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe I'm going to try and get one.
Well, I asked because I'm undecided. I mean, I know you're more of an Xbox guy.
Did you get a PlayStation?
I did get a PS5.
Okay.
I did get a PS5. So now I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
It's $25 a month, Damon.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like if people are scrambling to get pre-orders, do I have the luxury of trying to get the the monthly the all access version? I don't know.
That's also if your credit's good enough. Otherwise, they could raise the price on you.
Not too worried about that.
Do they really raise the price on you if your credit isn't good enough? In terms of like, they wouldn't just deny you; they'd actually start charging you interest on it.
I mean, they theoretically, I think they could. Like, I think the language is vague enough in those sorts of deals where they could decide whether or not you're trustworthy enough to only give them that much money.
I looked into the company. It looks like your credit needs to be in the 600s. Like if your credit's not in the 600s, you got bigger problems than buying a new console.
Buying a video game console.
Yeah.
Sydney and Destiny, both going to try to get a Series X, going for the high end.
So for like work needs, I'm going to get the S in addition to the X. But personally, if I were just picking up one, I would just get the best one.
Yeah.
So I'm in this like weird predicament right now where I want to get an X because I like having like nice things and I want to be able to say I have an X, even though my monitors aren't 4K and I'm not planning on upgrading them anytime soon. So like really doesn't matter. But I really want there to be a limited edition Halo Series X and I really want to get it because I've never had a limited edition console because I usually don't buy a second console. So part of me kind of just wants to get an S and then I'll get an X later. But what I think is going to happen is I'll get an X now and then I'll sell it and get a Halo X. Or maybe I just won't get the Halo X. I'm going to get an X tomorrow. I already know that's what I'm doing.
Jonathan, are you planning to try and pre-order tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I've been planning to go for an X. The Bethesda deal didn't really change anything for me personally. But yeah, I'm planning to go for the X if I can.
Well,
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Damon.
I was just going to say I have 16 hours to make up my mind. What's your question, Sydney?
So, and I don't know if you guys can answer this question because you're in the same boat as me in terms of we all work for IGN, obviously. But you know, I have a PlayStation, I have an Xbox, and at this point, because I don't really know why I have both. Like there are exclusives, so that's a thing. But I feel like lately I've just been playing my PlayStation. Even like Call of Duty, I used to always be Xbox, but all my friends are on PlayStation. It's just so much easier for me just to be on PlayStation and not deal with the cross play. It's just easier for me. But I don't know why I have this urge to have both consoles. And so in the case of like, obviously whatever Microsoft does with Bethesda's future games isn't a like, now there's no such thing as exclusives. We live in this euphoric paradise of not only needing one console. But like, at what point is there not enough exclusives to merit having both consoles?
Yeah, and neither really have a good launch game. Like, Dorno, what's launching on day one with PS5? Demon Souls is confirmed day one?
Yeah, it's confirmed day one.
And Ratchet is window.
No,
right?
Ratchet is window.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man will be there.
Oh yeah, Miles
Day
Morales.
Spider-Man
But that'll be on PS4 also.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But if you're going for if you're wanting to buy a next gen console and you're talking about like which to get based on games that will be there, Spider-Man will be there for that and not for Xbox.
Yeah, but it'll nothing really.
It's true
because they delayed Halo. They had to delay Halo, so they don't have.
I know, Destin.
That's why this announcement of this news today, 24 hours before pre-orders go live, it can't be a coincidence. They had to have some reason to urge people to pre-order tomorrow morning.
Wait, honestly, can I tell a funny anecdote?
Yes.
Okay, so I am gonna have to keep it cryptic because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But at the E3 that Microsoft was buying all of these developers, I have a friend who owns a game studio, and he jokingly mentioned something in an elevator with one of the Microsoft execs, like, "Oh, so you guys are buying up studios, huh? Like, would you like?" I don't remember what he said, but it was something of the lines of like, wow, congratulations or something. And then the executive said back like, why are you selling? And he was like, no, we're not selling. But they were literally just walking around E3 kind of like picking up on
Just
what
buying studios, yeah.
Todd Howard with the loose lips. Good to know, Sid.
Yeah.
I've known about this all along. He made me sign an NDA before he told me the story.
Wow.
I'm kidding, everyone. Chat. It wasn't Todd Howard, and I didn't sign an NDA. I already knew about this morning.
Speaking of E3, I guess we've lost another E3 press conference.
Oh, I
that's
always
fine.
liked Bethesda's conferences.
I always thought Bethesda's
Do
was
you-
fun too. Yeah.
Yeah, do you
No?
think they would do a separate one? Like that doesn't really help Xbox in any way, right?
No.
I mean,
Xbox's thing is just 5 hours.
I think Bethesda didn't need to do a conference the last 2 years, to be honest. Like they could have rolled their stuff into other shows. So I
Yeah.
think this will just get rolled into Microsoft show probably.
They would always do their parties too. Like they had
Yeah.
like beach
Yeah.
themes.
I love their
and
themes. It was so
Yeah.
cute.
Mhm.
So my question with that, actually, I think it brings up a good question, which is like, how much is Bethesda, I don't want to say going to lose their identity, but how much is it going to be absorbed into the Xbox Game Studios umbrella? Like, will it become Xbox Game Studios also published by Bethesda? Do you know what I mean? Are they going to be in the same press conference? Like, I'm just really curious how much, because Bethesda, I feel like, is a household name in a way.
for gamers.
And for gamers. And I don't know, I would be really sad to lose that diversity in the pool of things.
So Bethesda is still going to get to be the publisher since they're being purchased by Microsoft under this strange new relationship. Like they will be publishers still of these games. So it sounds like the intention, and this is something that at least like Phil Spencer has talked a lot about, and I know the other studios they've acquired, is like when a studio is being acquired by Xbox, it's not trying to like mind meld them into this like Xbox only mindset. It is to bring the DNA of the studio, the like personality of that studio into their umbrella and basically just be support for them and help give them structure and feedback and money. But
Yeah.
for all we know so far, it seems to be like they are still going to be Bethesda, just owned by Microsoft now.
Got it. Good.
So it's different for like Obsidian. Obsidian is owned by Xbox, and
Yes,
Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. Is that correct?
I believe that's the case. currently,
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
got it. Huh.
That's another thing people were hoping for with this news, that Obsidian will make another Fallout game.
They tweeted up their
I know.
snarky or sort of cute.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah.
What
I
was
would love that.
I would love that too, but we know they're working on a fantasy RPG that was revealed at one of Microsoft's events earlier this year. Does anyone remember the name of that? Jonathan, do you remember what that's called? Avowed. That's right.
Yeah. Looks great. Like the little teaser, it was just the right amount of showing everything because you kind of get to imagine the rest of it, right? They were really smart with how they marketed that. Can't remember the name, but yes.
Wow. Anyway, this acquisition is such a big deal in my almost 15 years covering the video game industry. You don't see acquisitions like this very often. It's a very, very big deal for Microsoft, and we'll all be very anxious to learn what it means for the future of Bethesda. How tightly is Microsoft going to hold on to future Bethesda games, or is it going to allow everybody, people on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, to play all these games? Before we go today, let's share a little bit about what we've been playing. And I keep hearing a lot about this game called Hades, and apparently Jonathan is playing it. And so first of all, I love roguelike games. I'm playing Spelunky 2 roguelike game right now. Jonathan, what is Hades? I know it's a roguelike, and should I play it?
So, fun fact, I don't like roguelikes. I like the genre. I pretty much bounce on almost all of them that I play. Like, I appreciate why people love them, but for me, the idea of doing something over and over again to try to get slightly incrementally better stuff just doesn't sound fun to me most of the time. That said, I've played Hades most of the weekend. I set out this weekend saying, oh, I'm going to play the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, but also got Hades, and then I just played Hades for most of the weekend. It is a roguelike in structure, but I think it has, at least based on like other roguelikes that I've played a little bit of, I think it has a bit more of a like story and a through line and an upgrade process that keeps the stuff from like one run to the next feeling a little bit more cohesive. So basically you're playing as the son of Hades, a guy named Zagreus, and you are trying to escape hell. And so each run you're going through different realms within hell. I won't spoil any for people who want to experience them because they're all very visually distinct and unique. But you're running through each one, and along the way, all the gods of Olympus are trying to help you get out of hell because obviously they want to annoy Hades. And so throughout your runs, you're getting different boons, they're called, which are different ability upgrades and different perks and whatnot. Some of them can relate to one another, so you can get boons that kind of boost each other. Some boons cancel others out, whatnot. But so as you go through, you're collecting those boons, you're getting money, you're getting I forget what it's called, but you're getting like this dark essence, you're getting treasure, you're getting all these collectibles, and basically once your run ends, you end up back in the House of Hades, and there you can upgrade both your arsenal, some of your like permanent benefits that you have that go on from one run to the next. You can change the decor of Hades' house to change things up. So if you want to get Cerberus a more comfy bed to lie on, you can do that. But you're also collecting bottles of nectar to give to each basically Greek god or whatever from the pantheon that you meet. You're meeting all these different figures, and you're giving them nectar, one, to get more items from them, but also to enhance the relationships. And it's actually kind of part visual novel in the sense of like you're trying to upgrade these relationships with all these different figures. You're trying to find out more about their stories. It's a really, really smart take on Greek myth. It's a really fun roguelike, in my opinion, from someone who hasn't really liked most roguelikes I've played. And it is also just a really, really great Supergiant game. Like if you're a fan of Bastion, Pyre, or Transistor, their past games, this is, I think, my favorite of their games. I love it. I've had such a blast with it so far. When I'm done with this show, I'm going to go play more Hades. That's my goal. Yeah.
It definitely sounds right up my alley, so I've got to check it out. Sydney, what are you playing these days?
I'm actually playing Among Us. I
keep hearing about this, but I don't know what it is.
So it's basically, have you ever played the game Mafia, like in person?
No.
Yes.
Okay, if you said yes, it really wouldn't matter because I've never played it, but people tell me that it's very similar. But basically, it's a lobby where you're all kind of these like space little things, and two people, well, you can say how many, but if you're playing in a lobby of 10, two people can be imposters who are trying to kill all the members of the ship. And if you aren't an imposter, you have kind of a list of tasks that you need to finish. And if everybody finish it, actually, I'm not sure if it's 100% completion or if you just finish most of the tasks. There's a little bar at the top, and if you get the green all the way to the end, then the non-imposters win, the crewmates win. And if you're an imposter and you kill a certain percentage of the people there, then the imposters win. But it's been so fun because I've actually played with a ton of old IGN people.
Cool.
Which has been really fun, and I'm super bad at it, but I'm enjoying it. It's a nice change of pace. And then I'm still playing Ghost of Tsushima.
That's a great game, a huge game.
It's a great game. I'm still in Act 1. I got to the very end of Act 1, and it's pretty clear that it wasn't gonna happen for me. And so then I just backed out, and now I'm trying to get more stuff, but still having a lot of fun with that game.
That's cool you're still playing it because you said you weren't a huge fan of open world games.
Yeah, but I think
one.
now that I'm letting myself kind of take my time and I'm not being pressured to finish it as quickly as everyone who's I feel like people move very quickly through games sometimes, which isn't a judgment at all, but
sure.
I think that's maybe why I bounce sometimes, is I'm like, oh, everyone's already on to the next, but no, I'm loving it. It's nice.
Destiny, you still playing Avengers?
No. I can't talk about what I've been playing because it's embargoed for a little while longer, but you can expect to see coverage on it on IGN soon. I have been doing a puzzle with my wife. It's a 2,000 piece puzzle. It was surprisingly a lot of fun to do. I don't say that sarcastically. It was of a campsite. It was really, really nice. And what else did we do? Oh, we watch a lot of Gossip Girl. We're on
Gossip Girl. Oh my gosh, where are
What
you?
season?
What's happening?
Season 3 or 4 right now. So the evil girl just went away. And
the one who's the ice princess who skates in a Disney movie.
I can't remember. But anyway, Dan has a baby now, and all this stuff's going on. But the show's actually a lot of fun.
I'm excited for you, Dustin.
Chuck got shot, but he's okay.
Spoiler
Dustin,
alert! Oh my
do you-
gosh!
Do you know, like, have you been spoiled by the ending
No.
at all?
No, I
Ooh.
have no
You
idea
know
what's
who
going to
Gossip
happen.
Girl is.
Oh.
My wife looks, so she knows like who marries who,
Okay.
and that was
Oh.
But I don't know who Gossip Girl is.
You'll have to keep
Yeah.
us updated
It's
on a
exciting.
week by week basis.
Yeah.
We can end our NG Plus episodes with Dustin.
The
telling us-
woman from Arrow just showed up, and I was like, "What's she doing here?"
Wait, which one?
Oh yeah, Katie Cassidy.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoever the
Yeah.
main love interest was in Arrow.
Didn't end up being the main love interest. Anyway, that's our show for today. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking about Xbox and Gossip Girl. Thank you to Jonathan, Sydney, and Destin. Thank you to Red, who's been working behind the scenes, making this all happen. We'll be back same time tomorrow, same place to talk about news, games, and more. Everybody have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Bye.